And welcome back to Late Night Lately, the Late Night Show, the late night show podcast for the website cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is that. Hey, welcome in. I don't know. I said I wasn't. I didn't know if there was going to be an episode this week because I didn't know who was off. I'll give you the short of it is the only show that was off this week was Late Night with Seth Meyers. I don't understand why they were off. They're going to be off for 3 weeks, but Fallon gets to the theme song is still playing. But Fallon gets to be on the entire week. That's crazy to me. So my theory is they had a bye week. They had a hiatus week, and they just built it right in to the show, to the off weeks that they're going to have for the Olympics. Fine, but 3 weeks off. I mean, come on. All week long they could have done shows. It'd have been great. Jimmy's up all week. Lamorne Morris hosted Jimmy Kimmel Live, and then at one point Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds hosted. I've yet to watch that. I'll tell you that much. I've yet to watch most of that. And then Colbert was on. Daily Show was on. No, Daily Show was off. Was Daily Show off? I don't know. I'm on YouTube. Let's check it out. As you can see, I was not paying attention all week long. I think I watched Lamorne's first. I also watched Last Week Tonight, but that was last night. That's a Thursday night. That's when I watched it. I also caught up on After Midnight. Caught up. I did watch a bunch of clips. What was I looking up? Oh, The Daily Show. Right. It's okay. I remember things. If I remember correctly, they did not have shows all week. Yeah. They've been uploading old clips. 2 old clips and a video of like a second video of their podcast or whatever. I don't know. We're in that time period in the summer when it's hard to ascertain if there's going to be late night shows or not. Because I remember when the Daily Show would be off for weeks at a time because Trevor Noah wasn't there, and for Desus and Mero they were off for months. They used to be from like June to September. God, I miss Desus and Mero, man. It's just not the same. It's not the same. I watch. Mero has a podcast with Carmelo Anthony called 7 p.m. in Brooklyn, and I subscribed to it. I said no more podcasts in my life, and then I subscribed to that one. And it's also funny. I also subscribed this week. Not very funny. I also subscribed this week to a Happy Endings podcast, the TV show. I love that show so much. It's hosted by Casey Wilson and Adam Pally, and it's very much recorded 2 years ago. Because they're talking about shows that are still on. Like they're talking about Blackish, as if it's in its last 2 seasons. That's how old this podcast is, and it was just uploaded. That's crazy. It's like the Lonely Island podcast, and that was recorded in 2021, I believe. That's insane to me. As you can see, there's not much to talk about for late night. Because, again, I didn't watch the Ryan Reynolds Hugh Jackman episode. I meant to. And Lamorne came back last night. Matt Rogers and Bowen Yang were on last night doing some Olympics BS. And this is great. Oh, my goodness. Look at this. Zachary Levi was on, probably talking about, among other things, Harold and the Purple Crayon, that movie that comes out next Friday. And probably being a COVID denier. Anti-vaxxer, excuse me. Not COVID denier. He's an anti-vaxxer. It's 2 different things. He knows COVID is real, just chooses not to protect himself from it. Oh, my gosh. All right, there's that. There's 5 minutes of that. I didn't even write a monologue this week. The Olympics are on, and I do have the TV on in the background. So if you hear anything, it's probably that. I watched the USA float down the canal. in France, second to last. There was a point where the NBC kept going to commercial, and since it's live, they were showing in a not a lower thirds, in a separate picture-in-picture box, the ceremony as it was still going on, and then like the commercials. And at one point, they went to commercial probably 2 minutes before the United States boat came by, and I was just thinking, guys, we need to hurry this up. I would jump out of the commercials right now. All right, but that's for the Constitutionals. That's not for this show. Let's get into the story. The only story I have. Katie Campione wrote this for Deadline. Jimmy Kimmel Live once again aims to help working actors get health insurance with new casting notice. This is something that Kimmel has done for the past, I don't know, because I remember it distinctly last year, but let's just say it's been going on for a little bit. I talked about this in LinkedIn Logs, if you listen to that show, which is the Jobs podcast. But the crux of it is, if you're a member of SAG, if you're an actor, and you're a member of SAG, I'm going to turn off the iPad because it only has 23% battery. If you're an actor and you're a member of SAG and you pay your $1,400 in dues every year, whatever, you are eligible, as long as you continue working within that calendar year of paying your dues, you are eligible to get their health plan. And you have to be within $1,401 of meeting, excuse me. You have to earn $26,470 in a year from acting in order to qualify for health insurance. And it's really good health insurance. It's fantastic health insurance. However, not a lot of actors are able to meet those requirements because booking things is hard. Sometimes people get pulled out of the acting scene. The requirement last year was 2% lower, I believe, and now that number is the 26,000 number, 26,470, is scheduled to increase 2% every year. Now if you are within $1,401 of meeting the minimum requirement, then a casting notice from Jimmy Kimmel Live might be for you. Now, essentially every year, the show hires actors to come out, I think in like kind of like a parade style thing, to give one line. And other times, they just come on the show and deliver a line within the monologue or something, playing a character or something like that. And they get paid that money, and then boom, they're going to be able to qualify for health insurance. 2 years ago, this happened 2 years ago. So 2 years ago, Kerry Washington guest hosted an episode where actors were invited on the show to deliver a line solely for the purpose of claiming their health insurance. So I remember that time. Following the strikes, it's just been tough for actors and writers to earn this. Well, for actors to earn, we'll talk about actors right now, to earn the lines, to get lines, to get roles, to get lines. Production's been slow for the first 6 months of the year as the industry weathers a contraction because the studios don't want to pay a lot of money for shows and movies. We're losing shows and movies left and right, and also the pandemic. Many in the entertainment industry still see a light at the end of the tunnel, though, as IATSE seeks to ratify its new 3-year deal on Thursday, which is yesterday, or last week, excuse me. And the Teamsters look to wrap their contract negotiations by the end of the month. Sources have told Deadline that in addition to their reduction in spending, studios were also hedging their bets by treading lightly with new productions in case those unions went on strike. So to me, it looks like if we already have the IATSE thing and the Teamsters thing. So so basically production ramps up, then actors will be able to go out for more things. And then essentially get cast in more things if it works in their favor. But this is important because people are losing their health care. And healthcare, especially under SAG, is so great. The fact that people can't even earn $26,000 from doing something that they love is insane and disheartening, and it really blows. And these people work so hard to not only achieve a dream, but to make that dream a career. And the fact that TV shows and movies are going after the same types of people, and some people just don't even fit. I know I'm skewing the argument a little bit, but some people don't even fit those categories. It's just a shame. I'm saying this. I'll talk about it on the Constitutionals that will come out the same day as this, but I'm saying that mostly because of I just got out of the movie Twisters before I watched the Olympics, and while I enjoyed the action parts of it, boy oh boy, watching the two lead actors interact was just the same boring rote stuff that we see all the time in every single movie ever. I love that Kimmel and his team do this, because it just seems like an easy way to get actors there, to get them paid so that they can have health care. And it seems like it's a way around the system. And there shouldn't be anything like this, but here we are. I spoke a lot about this in LinkedIn logs last week or earlier this week. I don't know when it was. I don't know how long this has been going on. All right, I have one more story for you. Hold on, I really need to. I'm trying to find the reputable source that I found earlier for this. Okay. Because I don't want to link to this website that I'm currently on. All right. I'll link to the website. It doesn't matter. It's not offense to the website, because they do come with receipts, but I just didn't want to link to this website. This comes from a late nighter. This is so mean. Written by Nick Ricardo. Jon Stewart alleges NBC and CNN are blocking his bookers. So Jon Stewart has a podcast called The Weekly Show, along with The Daily Show. It's just a once-a-week podcast. It's along the same lines as the Problem with Jon Stewart podcast, which was an extension of the Problem with Jon Stewart Apple TV show. Stewart said in a clip from the podcast, "It's difficult for us to book pundits or journalists that are on television. Their organizations will not let them come on our podcast. Let that sink in for just a moment. Organizations that rely on access and transparency refuse to allow their reporters to come on a podcast to talk about the issues of the day." According to Stewart and his producers, the reporters they're seeking to book are willing to appear on the show. The holdup comes when they seek approval from their networks, who decline without explanation. So when you work for CNN, we work for NBC, CBS, Fox News, Fox Broadcasting, and ABC. When we work for outlets, BBC News, you can go on other networks. That's why you often see, well, for a little bit, I saw Laura Barone Lopez, who's apparently married, but she's on PBS NewsHour, and when I was at CNN, I would see her, do a talking head and analyst spot. Or, you'll see, even still, you'll see if Jake Tapper wrote a book, you'll see Jake Tapper pop up on, Late Night with Seth Meyers or something. You can do cross-pollination. You can just appearances. You can't just work on something else unless you have a special case. Like Gayle King works for CBS. She had that show on CNN called King Charles, which existed for some reason. But when CNN and NBC, when you're withholding your people from talking on a show to a host who seemingly does not align with your views, or who seemingly I'm guessing they make it they feel as though not the reporters, but the CNN bosses and the NBC bosses, they probably feel as though there's going to be some type of gotcha moment, or they're going to be caught in Stewart saying something accusatorily that'll make them seem bad. And although that may be the case, I don't think that's the case, but that may be something that could happen. These reporters are smart. They're going to be able to come back to Jon with something that's true. You know, if Tapper's going to appear on the weekly show and Jon goes, well, you know, at CNN, blah, 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 then Tapper can go, well, you know, we actually blah, blah, blah. There doesn't have to be this CNN. I feel like it is really taking a turn for the worse, because it just doesn't make sense that a network like this is going in such a direction, you know, that yes, it was left of center most of the time it was left of center. And in Zaslav, David Zaslav, Warner Brothers Discovery CEO turned Warner Brothers CEO. And he wants to make it more of a neutral place. But in a lot of respects, it's coming off as a kind of sequestered island where you invite people on, but you're never like when people invite you somewhere, you say no. It doesn't feel, unless they have a book. You know, Anderson Cooper's got a book, or S.E. Cupp has a book. I don't know why I paused at the word book. Stewart went on to call out MSNBC and CNN as particular offenders, noting the latter, quote, gave us a bunch of shit for trying to bring somebody on. I believe it, too. The latter, as in CNN. I would think it's an embarrassment to those news organizations, and the crazy thing to me is the journalists themselves think it's insane. It shows the fundamental disconnect between the people that are running those organizations and what those organizations are supposedly there for, which is informing the public on the issues of the day. When does, you know, I think Warner as a whole is in a very bad spot. But when does CNN take that turning point? That point where what Chris Licht was running that company for under Zaslav's reign, but now it's Mark Thomas, whatever his name is. When does it become the organization that they want it to become, this kind of vanilla, you know, ice water place? And yes, ice water is good. Vanilla can be good as a flavor. I'm just saying plain. Why don't we add some spices to the baked chicken? Because it doesn't feel as though this is the CNN it should be. And I know it's not late night. I don't really care. I mean, it's part of it. And that's not to say that every other late night show is doing everything well. I still think Colbert's show is way too big. I think the audience is way too big. I still think, what's his name? John Oliver's show Last Week Tonight could be done without an audience and telling the same jokes over and over and over again. But when's the last straw? What happens when CNN isn't able to produce the numbers that they want to produce? I still haven't listened to the weekly show. I really don't want to. So I probably won't. I'm done subscribing to podcasts. I'm done. But Stewart, for all that he says, raises a really good point. All right, listen, if you like what you heard here, head to the website, cpluscomedy.com. I have to unlock the iPad. Oh, my God. And if you want to see a video version of the show, head to youtube.com/cpluscomedy, where you can see me talk to famous people sometimes. You can see a video version of this show, youtube.com/cpluscomedy. And a video version of the other shows, LinkedIn Logs, which is the Jaws podcast, and Constitutionals, which is the entertainment business news podcast. Follow us on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, C Plus Comedy, Facebook, C Plus Comedy, me, at Chad Black White. Thank you so much. Bye.